Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. Hi, I'm Zoe. Lizzy's busy again this week, so instead, I'm here with my dad.
Hi, I'm Zoe's dad, otherwise known as Mike.
Yeah. Also, the dogs are here.
Yeah, so if you hear him, that's not me making licking sounds. This is the first show I've been a guest.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on before, but with Sal, but never
as
an official guest. Do we have notes, or is this a no notes
This
episode?
is a no notes episode.
Oh, okay.
Because I work a lot.
Yes, you do. So I am very happy that you are so committed to Star Wars Geek Girl, and you have put up your polls and your writing. And can we start with the plugs?
We do the plugs at the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, can we plug the helmet giveaway?
Yeah, I still need to put that on the site.
Okay, well we'll put that. You'll put that on the site in the next couple of days. But anyone listening, there's going to be a helmet giveaway. It's a Wrecker helmet. All you have to do is sign up on the blog for is it a newsletter? Do you call it a newsletter?
I just say it's like a subscription to the blog. You just get an email whenever I post something.
Right. And you don't post up a lot of junk. It's all Star Wars stuff.
You're not going to get tons of emails. Right now, you'll get like one Wednesday and one Friday.
But we're gonna do you have to be signed up by the end of July, midnight by the end of July.
And if you're already signed up, you're already in the drawing.
Yes.
Unless you're the person that won last time, then
You just can't win twice in a row.
yeah, you can win twice, just not twice in a row.
Right. And no one related to you or Lizzy.
Yes.
So no, Axel can't win, Safi can't win, I can't win.
Buddy can't win.
And so about how many people were signed up last time we checked?
There are 97 people subscribed right now.
Okay, so it's under 100. You have a chance of under 100.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, I guess we should begin.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the last episode of The Bad Batch, which was called...
Ryloth, that's my guess. I forget.
It was not called Ryloth. It was called... It was called Devil's Deal.
Devil's Deal.
Yes. But this episode was on Ryloth. This was an episode that really took us away from the Bad Batch for most of the episode, and we actually followed the Syndulas on Ryloth. We followed young Hera, who has to be around 10 or 11.
Do we have to say spoilers?
Yeah, spoilers ahead for the Bad Batch.
Don't you think if someone's listening to a podcast about Star Wars, they probably get up early and watch the show?
Probably.
Okay.
Okay, buddy.
We got up at 6 a.m. to do this podcast.
Yes.
That's dedication.
Yes. Yeah, this episode takes us away from the Bad Batch for most of the episode, we only see them once, really. Except we see Crosshair a few times, but not... The focus isn't on him, the focus is on the Syndulas. We're following Cham Syndulla, Hera, who's around 10 or 11, and her mother, who we learn her name is... they don't say it in the episode, it's just in the credits.
Oh, okay.
It's, Elena or something like that. Elena. And they need to say it so I know how to pronounce it, but it's...
Yeah, I'm bad at that.
Okay, that's not it. Let's Google to make sure I get it. Eleni. Eleni. Eleni Syndulla.
Yeah, I was surprised to see her mom.
Yeah. But so the episode, it was really good. I liked it. I didn't even realize the Bad Batch wasn't in it until they showed up. And I was like, oh yeah, that's who the show's supposed to be about. I was just very enthralled with with Hera and getting to see young Hera and her family and learning about the early occupation of Ryloth by the Empire.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Clone Wars, in the old Clone Wars, in the sense that when we first started watching it, the first episode of the Clone Wars that was on television after the movie didn't have Obi-Wan, Anakin, or Ahsoka really in
Rex
it.
Or anything.
Anyone, it reminded me of, it still told stories otherwhere. And then to see Hera and Chopper
Chopper was there too.
which was really cool in the style of the Clone Wars animation.
Seeing baby Hera.
So, yeah.
Baby Hera.
But I mean, it reminded me, as much as I liked Rebels, it reminded me how much I really liked the animation style of the Clone Wars.
I like seeing, I think one interesting part for me was really Cham Syndulla, because we see like a weird spot, I think, for him as a character, because we see him in the Clone Wars where he's leading this freedom fighter movement for Ryloth because he wants peace, and obviously the Separatists at that time were not giving them peace. But then we see him again in Lords of the Sith, actually, if you've read that book, but he's still a freedom fighter for Ryloth trying to get the Empire away, and then he's at the same point in Rebels too, a freedom fighter on Ryloth trying to get the Empire away. But we see him here, and he's achieved what he thinks is peace for right now. The Empire is promising peace, but for Cham, he thinks he's trying to settle things down because he's tired of fighting for so long, and he thinks, well, the Empire isn't going to be subjugating us like the Separatists were, and the Empire was the Republic who he did trust. So he's like in a spot where he's kind of stepping down, and other characters are trying to push him to fight, but he's not. We know he gets there from Lords of the Sith and Rebels, but he's not back to that point yet, and I think it's really interesting to see that side of him.
Yeah, well, and that's when I saw The Devil's Deal. It made me think, because I always like the titles. I mean, I missed the quotes that were on the Clone Wars at the beginning, but The Devil's Deal, it's where he had to decide. Well, it's better to be slightly subjugated, but somewhat free. That was, and then his, when Hera and all that were captured, it proved right away, like they were doing stuff they shouldn't. But it also reminded me of that first episode of Clone Wars where right off the bat Yoda worked so hard to get peace with, I forget,
the Toydarians.
Yeah, the Toydarians. But we all knew watching the Clone Wars what was going to happen at the end. So all these great things Yoda was saying to them that the Republic's going to do to them was basically setting up for when the Empire took over. When flipped the switch, they were occupied by letting people in the door for good reason. And it also reminded me, when you were a smaller kid than you are now. No, I know you're a young adult. No, when you loved the Ryloth episodes because you liked the ARF troopers.
Yes.
It was that was way before we knew about Hera. But you used to like the ARF troopers a lot, and because we had that one friend that does an ARF trooper armor.
Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to be a biker scout, but biker scouts are the bad guys. So ARF troopers are good guy biker scouts.
I was dreading if I ever had to make that ARF trooper armor, that painting, that pattern.
I thought I was going to be tall when I grew up, and I wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. We could trim down the ARF trooper armor probably.
I don't want to be a 5'3" clone trooper.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm one of the defective ones.
You could
I'm
be
like
the
real bad batch.
They forgot to
clones.
They forgot to fill the clone tank all the way. They only filled it up like 80%.
Yeah. I thought Cham was really interesting, and we see, because in Rebels they kind of allude to Hera and her mother, who we now know is Eleni is her name, having a conflict with Cham where they want to fight and he doesn't, and we know, like, later that conflict with Hera specifically is where she wants to fight for the rest of the galaxy, where he just wants to fight for Ryloth, which we aren't seeing yet. Hera's still focused on Ryloth, along with Gobi. They're still trying to liberate Ryloth, while Cham's trying to he just wants things to settle. But we see, like, Eleni kind of pushing for Cham to continue to fight, and I think right now he's tired, because he was that leader for all of them.
Right. Now,
and
do you
I think
I'm sorry.
But we know Hera's mom dies. And I think we're going to see that in the next episode, and I think that's what's going to flip the switch for Cham.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that's going to happen in the next episode, or is it going to be more drawn out and happens elsewhere? I was thinking it's going to happen in the next episode, too.
I think it is. I don't know, obviously, what the plan is. We are getting pretty close to the Bad Batch season finale, and this is just my thoughts. I think, especially because Hunter promised Omega they weren't going back to Kamino, I think we're going to go back to Kamino for the finale. And something's going to happen there with clones and stuff. And I think because we're getting so close to that finale, I think they're going to need to start building up to that. And so we're not going to spend more than probably 2, maybe 3 episodes on Ryloth.
Right.
Just because we're coming close to the end.
Well, I think, clone-wise, I still think they can't attack the clone facility. I think that would, I have a feeling.
I don't think they're going to attack it, but I think they're going to go back there for some reason.
No, I think they're going to go back to try to save it. I think Boba Fett's going to attack it.
Boba Fett.
Because I think they're going to they're going to give up on getting Omega, and someone's going to try, the Kaminoans are going to try to get Boba Fett as their pure source. And I think Boba Fett, at least in the Clone Wars, he was always overkill. If
well, he wanted to get back at Mace Windu.
Yes.
So he and Arsing were going to blow up that whole ship that he was on.
That's what I mean. So I could just see him be, and to me, the one thing I would love to see in the Clone Wars is Arsing take that fall that finishes her off.
Oh, with Beckett?
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see that story at some point.
Because I would like to see Beckett and Val.
That would be cool. I think, hopefully...
I'm pretty sure we won't, but that would be my...
Maybe Bad Batch will get another season.
Maybe.
We'll see. I think... Depends on what happens at the end.
So in this episode, too, when they talked about Hera flying... and I know everyone, they say, well, that's how they use the Force. And they say that's what Han does. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I think for Hera and for Han, I think it really is like a feeling for them. And I think it shows like the different way they approach it. And that way they approach it is what makes them such good pilots, because like you hear Tech be confused, like what flying's a feeling, and he's not a bad pilot, but
he must be pretty good because they always have him flying.
Yeah, but like he's not. I don't think he can do some of the stuff that we see Hera or Han do, and I don't think that's a Force thing. I think it's Hera and Han being a little looser, and Tech being more like, this is how the ship works. This is what I'm going to do for it. Where Hera and Han just really let themselves just go, because that's how sometimes, if you ever read testimonies from pilots from like real wars in real life, they'll say things like that sometimes too.
Well, and I always think of Tech flying, his is like, well, I'm being chased, and there's like a 70-some% chance in his brain it's running.
Yeah, and he's doing a set of procedures. Yeah,
where like Han, and I think Hera's probably more bravery, and like she's thinking, just from Rebels at least, she knows her ship. She's probably like a combination of Tech and Han. Like she knows what her ship will do, and Han, especially from what we saw in the Solo movie, but also what we know from Han in the originals, I think Han is just like a daredevil.
Yeah.
And Han, like, cause as much as like when he's like, when he does what his friend Needles did, you know, his friend Needles died doing it, but Han is like one of those, like he says in Force Awakens, he never thinks about something until he's actually done it or something like that. So Han's like, well, look, I'm better than Needles, so I'm not going to die, you know, or because he flew into when he connected his ship to the back of the Star Destroyer to get away, you know, and I think Han is like one of those people that he goofs up, but he goofs up in ways that work out in the end. And when they don't work out, he just goofs up another way. You know, like he was being chased by a Star Destroyer, which he should have died, and he just was lucky enough that there was an asteroid field. You know, so that's the difference. I think with Han, and then I think, like I said, with Hera, she's brave enough and skilled enough, and then I think they're so good it looks natural. But Han, like, if I know it's a cutscene, but he didn't do too good in the Imperial Academy.
No. Well, and I think, like, too, I think, like you said, do you think, like, that's the Force? And I think it is for Hera. It just feels like a feeling, you know? And she's not, like, she knows more subconsciously what her ship can do and, like, what it's capable of and how to do it. I don't think she's actively going through a list of, like, in her head, like, well, if I press this button, blah, blah. She just, she knows it so well, it becomes a feeling, and she just knows how to do it.
Right. Well, and I don't think everything in Star Wars can be explained by the Force. Like, I know it, you know, it permeates us in all this stuff from what Obi-Wan said. No, was it Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Obi-Wan said. But I also think if you wind up giving everything over to the Force, then that kind of makes the Jedi less special in the universe. And my Star Wars confession was, the Force was probably, when I was a kid, one of my least favorite parts. Not that I disliked it, but I was a kid, I just wanted to be Han Solo. And Han Solo didn't have the Force. They're going to get dogs snoring.
I know. They're put
They're
to
not
sleep.
Used to being up at 6 a.m. talking Star Wars.
They do watch The Bad Batch with us in the morning.
That's true.
So.
Freddie does watch The Bad Batch.
Buddy sleeps through it, but Freddie watches.
And then it was nice to see Blurgs again.
Blurgs! I love Blurgs. We saw Blurgs. I think my favorite part of the episode, besides just any time Hera was there, was their chase scene. After Hera, Gobi, and their other Twi'leks with them were captured, and they were on the transport, and Cham and Eleni and a few others go and chase them down, and they do like little flashy things, and it's a really cool scene. And they like take them down like one by one, knock them off the speeders, and finally get up to it.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of the chase scene in The Mandalorian when they were when they stole that troop transport and the.
But it was like the opposite.
Right,
trying to get into it.
Yeah, well, my other thing is, where's Ryloth? Because it seems to me in the Clone Wars at the beginning, it seemed like it was more isolated world.
Ryloth, I think, is a mid-rim world.
Okay. Because I was.
If you look at the map of the galaxy, it's not quite like outer rim like Tatooine, but it's not in the core like Coruscant or Alderaan.
Yeah, so I was just because they always seem in the Clone Wars that they were kind of fighting on their own, like no one was helping them.
Ryloth. So if you read some of the like books or pay attention to like the political stuff, which most people do not do, and I don't blame them for. Ryloth is they maintain independence.
So they're similar to Mandalore.
A little bit. They still have Orn Free Taa in the Senate, but they really value being independent. That's part of what Cham Syndulla is fighting for. Even when you get to the New Republic, they really value being independent from from the other systems. Not that they don't help and accept help, but they don't like having that influence. And if you see the Clone Wars, that's Cham is actually reluctant at first to let clone troopers on.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because of that. And actually, I think in the New Republic, I think in Bloodline, it's been a little bit since I read that book, but I think they no longer have a Twi'lek senator or something in the New Republic Senate because they're afraid of what happened before happening again.
Right.
And that's why there's a big issue, because they get in dire need of help with their supply lines being blocked by like a pirate, and that's like Leia has to convince the Senate to help them, even though they're not officially part of it.
Now that's where Keeley was killed on Ryloth.
Keeley and Amagundai, yes.
Yes, I just like that's my favorite clone. But yeah, that because I just remember he was defending them. And then the big guy that's with the Emperor, who's he? He was a senator.
Orn Free Taa, he's the senator for Ryloth.
But
and he and Cham do not get along.
But is he one of them? He looks different.
He's a Twi'lek. He has a third. I think so. This is what I read. And maybe I think this might be like oldie or something that's not canon. He has a third Leku from Fat. Because their Leku are brain tails that hold their brain stuff. But he has a third one.
I just noticed
that is what I read.
how to detect the evil one is, except for Bib Fortuna. Bib Fortuna's he's not Twi'lek though.
No, he's something else.
Oh, but
he's creepy.
That guy, that senator only had 3 fingers. Which I only think it's because of animation, because like it's like when they make bigger hands.
Yeah.
It
Orn Free Taa is in the prequel movies, like as a background lead. I don't remember.
But in this show, he only had 3 fingers. I was like,
Freddy.
Freddy doesn't like it.
Freddy has something to say.
Uh-oh.
He's doing his reverse sneezes. But yeah, no, Orn Free Taa, if you look into the stuff, he's like the reason he and Cham clash so much is because Cham thinks to him to be more like greedy, and he doesn't actually care about Ryloth.
So he's probably in George Lucas's eyes. I wonder if he was made to be almost like greed and sloth or something like that.
Probably.
Because George Lucas used a lot of symbolism in that stuff.
Right.
But the Twi'leks. Well, okay. So let's get to, because we didn't go. One of my favorite ones was when you saw that Hera was spying, and it kind of reminded me of Princess Leia in the Clone Wars. In Rebels, when she was doing her own little side thing.
Then when she gets caught, it's like, oh, well, I'm just the daughter. I'm just a little girl.
Well, Hera didn't do that. Hera wasn't.
Well, no, but they did that for Hera.
Yeah. Which I thought was a little of the other Twi'leks in story wise, which I liked it in the story part, but in the reality of the Star Wars universe, I thought that was kind of selfish of those people to take her.
To use it like a 10-year-old.
Because they jeopardized, like they weren't thinking big picture, and which is maybe they used to symbolize maybe how Cham is too. But they didn't think big picture. Look, if we are captured, this could hurt, everybody. Yeah. Where that was.
And that's where Cham's doesn't, where he's normally the freedom fighter guy. That's where he's backing off. But once they do get Hera,
he can't back off now.
Yeah. I thought all that was cool.
I don't like that Imperial guy. I do.
Either. Yeah.
That Ken. He looks like Ken from Ken and Barbie.
I do like. One thing I did notice was in the beginning, it's a very similar thing to, I believe it was the last episode, the one before this was The Separatist. I think that was the one before this. But in the beginning of that episode, he, Singh, whose name was Singh, he said, he was supposed to give a speech
Right.
trying to calm his people down, letting them accept the Empire, and he decided, no, I'm not going to do that. For Cham, he's supposed to help get his people on the side of the Empire because he has more influence over them, like they listen to him more than they do their own senator. And he does kind of do that, so it's like almost an opposite. Even though Eleni and Hera both are not fans.
Right. And I think that goes back to just because most things in Lucasfilm under George, which and Dave is like, George now, but they're rooted in history, and so I think a lot of this is, if you look at a lot of the countries in the world, Freddie, you're distracting me here. If you look at a lot of times when countries are like taken over by a bigger empire or colonizer or whatever, a lot of times they'll keep a figurehead to keep, like I think of, if you look up the history of Hawaii, they did it with the Queen of Hawaii Islands. If you look at a lot of these countries, because then it's almost like they get them on film, and so like the Empire can just use that over and over again. Hey, look, your guys, and he likes us and stuff. So
yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I was like seeing Hera.
I wonder if we'll see the ghost.
Ghost, maybe she'll, at the end of the episode, she'll find her curling. I don't know. I think that's, at least in my head, the way I've understood the timeline is like, Mom dies, and then like a little while later, Hera, and then like that's when Hera starts having her conflict with her dad about wanting to save the galaxy and him wanting to save Ryloth, and that's when they start butting heads, and then she leaves.
Right, but it seems like at least in this episode they kind of sped that up. Like
no, but Hera's still focused on Ryloth with the others, and so I think we still have a little time because she can't really leave home at like 10 or 11. I think. When we see her in A New Dawn, she's 18 and has been away for, I think, just like a couple of years. So I think she still has some time before she leaves.
Yeah.
She might get the ghost, but I don't think she'll leave.
Unless Cham sends her away.
But then that doesn't make sense for the homecoming episode of Rebels where they're...
Right, but I'm saying, I wonder if he sends her away with the mission to help Ryloth, and then that, or
I don't think he'll be sending
her
away. Or maybe,
but what if when the mother, when the mother is killed, or before, she kind of says, "Look, we have to fight for more than just Ryloth," and then Hera, that's where I'm just
but I don't
wondering,
think Hera's gonna leave home yet. I think she's too young.
Yeah,
and I don't think she's ready.
Well, she can go get a job she can go get a summer job and work 70 hours a week, and she'll be fine. But yeah, it was cool to see Chopper. It was cool to see her. Was there anything else?
There's Hauser, new clone Hauser that everyone loves.
Oh yeah,
with the nice hair, and he's got cool armor too.
Did he put his helmet on?
I think he did.
Okay. I'll have to look, because that'd be a cool paint scheme for a helmet.
Yeah, but the real great part of the episode was, I think, at the end, where Cham rescues Hera and Chopper and Eleni, and they get everyone back, and Cham's gonna kill Orn Free Top, but he decides like that's too far. You know?
Yeah.
But then Ken, he kind of he didn't orchestrate all of this, but he kind of had a plan for that, and he has Crosshair, who's like up on a thing, shoot Orn Free Ta, so they can pin it on Cham,
right?
Mark him as an insurgent, and then Cham and Eleni get captured, but Chopper and Hera escape. So presumably, since Hera did meet the Bad Batch for their supply run and met with Omega, I think Hera's gonna reach out to them, and they're gonna do a rescue. Because the next episode is called Rescue on Ryloth.
Right. Well, and just to bring, because we didn't really talk about the Bad Batch. So the Bad Batch, after watching it and hearing you talk, and hear Lizzy talk, and hear Sal talk, the Bad Batch reminds me of like when they were in the military fighting the clone. It's like when you and Lizzy lived at home and mommy and daddy were buying all your supplies, and then you have to go out on your own as the Bad Batch, and you're like, what? I have to buy food? So this is how my brain works. I'm thinking when you're going to work, you're working for
Sid.
So you can call your manager Sid. But it's a good lesson on how things change. But yeah, it was the Bad Batch. I feel like.
Well, I was surprised they were still working for Sid because Omega paid off their debt last episode.
Yeah, but that's well. As soon as you pay off your debt, then you got to put fuel in your ship. You're in debt again.
That's
true.
true.
It's like
yeah.
It's not
but,
like
So, but they are still working for Sid because they're doing a supply drop off and giving some weapons and things to Gobi and the other fighters.
Well, I think Trandoshans are really good at manipulating people. It took me a while to get used to Sid's voice because but I think that's like. They're almost like serpent-like, and it goes back to that myth of like the serpents. But I could just see Sid telling them, "Look, if you don't get these weapons to these, you know what I mean." Like I think in the background, she kind of makes sure they feel bad. So, but it was good to see them. It was neat to see Hera talk to Omega. So I guess Omega's probably what 10 or 11 as well. I didn't really thought of her age because she's a clone. So
I don't think she can be much older than like 12 at all. I think 12 is the oldest she can be.
Yeah. She's probably the exact same age as. I would imagine she's the same age as.
Boba, but Boba would be a teenager now, and she doesn't strike me as like a teenager.
She could be though. She could be like 13 or 14.
Yeah, but still, it's not much older than 12.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
And she gets along with the LaQuaine kids. She got along with them. Seem to be about the same age as them, and they're probably about 10.
Oh, okay.
And we know Hera has because Kanan was 14, 15.
See, I always get
happens, and she's 4 years younger than him, so she's 10 or 11.
Yeah, see, I get confused with age in general because in theory, every planet would have a different age.
I just don't think about it that much.
If you travel through hyperspace a lot, you would stay younger.
I don't think about
because
it too much.
You think about it, like
it gets confusing, so I don't think about it.
I know. Well, that's why I like Star Wars because it's not the science fiction as much as the science fantasy.
Yeah. But it's like when someone asked Pablo Hidalgo how long hyperspace takes, and he said however long the story needs it to take.
Well, that's true. So, I guess we got to wrap it up because you got to go to work.
I do have to go to work. We leave in like 15 minutes, and I'm still not ready.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
It was fun.
Remember, everyone, helmet giveaway, sign up on the blog.
You just go to StarWarsGeekGirl.com and then go to the blog page, and at the top there's a little thing.
And we'll have more detail.
Just put your name and your email, whatever name you would want us to like read off on the live stream that we do. Do that.
Right, and we'll email the winner too.
Yeah, we email the winner. So like you can make like any name as long as you recognize it as your own if you watch the stream.
And you don't have to be present. You don't have to be present to the live stream.
No, we're not gonna. That's not fair.
And but you should be over 18 or at least have permission.
Yes.
For us because we are going to have to email you for your mailing address.
Yeah, or PO box or whatever, and so be over 18 or have permission.
All right.
Hope you didn't mind our dog snoring.
And Freddie with his whatever that fit was.
It's reverse sneeze. That's what they're called.
And we're using a new recording thing since we're doing this without Zoom, so we'll see what happens.
Doing it in an Apple Voice memo on my laptop. Yeah, so I'm trying to think I was going to say something. Oh, plugs. You can go to StarWarsGeekGirl.com. I do like a random blog post about like some Star Wars thing on Fridays, and then I do quizzes on Wednesdays. I post them. I post book reviews. I haven't had as much time to read, but I did knock out like 250 pages of Resistance Reborn when we went to the beach.
Nice.
So I have that
Your
book.
one day off this summer?
Yeah. So I'll probably try and finish that book soon, and probably when I get my surgery and I'm off for a week, I'll probably finish that book and write a review. And then I go back to school, so I actually have more time when I'm at school than on my summer vacation to read and write reviews. So probably around like August, September, I'll probably get to read more. Yeah, you can follow the Twitter at SWGeekGirl. Instagram is the same name. And the Facebook page is Star Wars Geek Girl.
And I don't really have any plugs other than all the Star Wars Geek Girl plugs. And I do have a podcast, CreateCast, but we haven't done any episodes in a long time. I'm too busy building stuff. But I do want to thank Zoe and Lizzy. They're both working very hard this summer. Lizzy's taking classes all summer. Zoe is working 6 days a week from 8 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. most days. Plus, she's still turning out regular podcasts and writings, and I'm so proud of her. So, that's my plugs.
Thank you. So I was Zoe.
And I was Zoe's dad.
May the Force be with you. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.